Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for joining.
Mhm.
Thanks for doing sesshin practice. This is day 3 of September sesshin. And for those who weren't here yesterday, uh, I kind of just wanted to do some good old-fashioned koan work with our Dharma talks this week. We've been talking about a lot of different things recently, a lot of precept stuff and Home is Here series and guest speakers. And so I just kind of wanted to take it back to most of the talks that I heard over my practice time was just looking at a koan and really kind of digging into it. And so, yeah, I was missing that a little bit. And so I thought since we have 5 days of talks this week, that I would do one koan from each of the first 5 collections that we go through in our curriculum here at Sweetwater. So yesterday I started with a koan from the first miscellaneous 200 koans. That's where we start with. And today we will go into the Muman Kan, or the Gateless Gate, or the Gateless Barrier. So this is a collection put together by Muman, or in Chinese, Wu Men, who, gosh, I forgot now. See if I can find. Wu Men was a Sung period master of the Rinzai school who lived from 1183 to 1260. So that's about Dogen's time. Dogen was alive at that time, which is interesting. So yeah, he put together this collection. The Great Way has no gate. There are 1,000 different paths. Once you pass through the barrier, you walk the universe alone. It's kind of nice. It's like a little intro verse. Woman's intro verse. So yeah, so this is the first like full collection that we study if you're doing koan practice in our lineage. And what else can I say about it? I think maybe we'll just jump in. I'm just kind of choosing random cases that speak to me in the moment. So this is case 15. Um, yeah. And it features Uman and Tozan. Um, but this is not the famous Tozan from our lineage. This is actually a different Tozan. And Uman is obviously a major famous guy. So Tozan came to see Uman. Uman asked him, "Where were you most recently?" Tozan said, "At Cha Tu." Uman said, "Where were you during the summer?" Tozan said, "At Pao Tzu Monastery in Hunan." Uman said, "When did you leave there?" Tozan said, "August 25th. Uman said, "I spare you 60 blows." Next day, Tozan came again and said, "Yesterday you said you spared me 60 blows, but I don't know where I was at fault." Uman said, "You rice bag, do you go about in such a way, now west of the river, now south of the lake?" With this, Tozan had great satori. And satori, of course, is kind of awakening and enlightenment experience. The full, personal, undoubtable dropping off of body and mind. And this interaction enabled Tozan to have that experience. In fact, a lot of koans are kind of like stories about people having this experience, this waking up, um, not reading it in a book and, getting it and writing it down and remembering it, but literally having a visceral experience. And we all have that. I think we all know what that experience is, whether we know what it is or not. Um, the world is constantly giving us blows. And I think the practice of Zazen merely opens us up to them, sensitizes us to them. But let's take a look at this story. So Tozan is a young monk and he goes to see Uman. And Uman's first question is, where were you most recently? And a lot of these koans start out with um, a pretty simple question like that. Where are you from? Where did you just come from? Where were you most recently? And part of that is just opening up the conversation, right? Like the teacher-student relationship can be a really powerful one, a really intimate one. So it's good to just try to kind of feel each other out. Just get a sense of where each other is at, how we drop in together. And so these kind of opening questions could be, hey, where were you? But very often, they're kind of asking more. Uh, is there any place other than here? Um, where were you most recently? Well, what is time? Most recently, I was right here a second ago. Um, and it's not important to like get into the philosophy of it as much as this is how we feel each other out. There's so many different things you can present and express to people, and even just you could say, this stupid place, or you could say, I was at Hunan Monastery. Do they look you in the eye? um, just so much that we can communicate with even just a simple question. And back in the day when they were all zenny and everyone's living on a monastery, it might be somewhat acceptable to answer that question, where were you most recently? It's hot in the Zendo. That would be a nice answer. But anyway, Tozan answers very matter of factly, right? Oh, I was at this place, Chow Tu. Cha Tu. So he's either like not getting it, right? Very often, he's just doing small talk, right? So yeah, when someone asks you even something like, where were you this weekend? Are you going to answer like small talk? Or are you going to answer like, I really want you to know about me? I was at Cha Tu. It was really, really nice. Or I was at Cha Tu. It was full of really asinine people, and I had a very difficult time there. So, insofar as this practice is about being intimate with our life, um, yeah, how does small talk get in the way? How does small talk just cover up when we're nervous? Instead of really being with a person and showing them your true self. Um, so Uman kind of prods again. Where were you during the summer? Again, that could be anything. What does summer mean? What does summer mean to you? But instead, Tozan just answers again pretty superficially. Oh, I was at this other monastery in Hunan. So he's not giving him anything really. Or he is. He's giving him this kind of shallow presentation. And yeah, this is all just about connection, y'all. All these interactions, all of this is just about the three treasures: the Buddha, oneness, the Dharma, intimacy with all of the millions of things as teachings, and Sangha, connecting and harmonizing with the Buddha and Dharma everywhere. And so Uman is trying to elicit these three treasures with these very simple questions. Um, but he's not really, Tozan isn't really connecting necessarily. And at the same time, you can see these are perfect answers, right? I mean, the other side of it is like you don't want to be stinky. So where were you most recently? Everywhere is here. That would be a stupid answer. Trying to be some kind of like zenny thing. Where were you during the summer? I know no summer. Um, so yeah, we don't want that either. So maybe these are the perfect responses. Just be honest. Where were you? I was there. Where were you before? I was there. Quit bugging me. Where's my dinner? Um, so there's that too. There's that perspective as well. So maybe these are just perfect answers. Where were you? Chatu. How about summer? Pautsu. When did you leave there? August 25th. So, he gives him three chances here to do something, right? So I think if there's the first two, you can be like, yeah, it was over here, and then it was over there. But then if there's a third, very superficial question from a spiritual teacher, when did you leave? It's such a small talk question, right? Can you imagine? Like, oh, where did you go on your vacation? Oh, I went to Palm Springs. What time did you leave the hotel? It's like kind of a silly question. Um, so obviously trying to connect more. Show me your understanding in this life of birth and death and coming and going, arriving and leaving, our senses, our thoughts, people, everything, impermanence, changing. So when did you leave? What is your relationship with leaving? So I think on this third attempt, I think it's pretty reasonable to expect something, some kind of intimacy, some kind of sharing. Even if it's like, when did you leave? Man, I wish I never left. I love that place. Something. But he just says August 25th. Which again, maybe that's the best answer. I don't know. But I think Uman is, if he's like any other Zen teacher I know, I think he's trying to connect here. So they go through this exchange. He says, when do you leave? Tozan says, I left August 25th. And Uman says, I spare you 60 blows. So obviously back in these times, hitting with your stick was kind of a big teaching tool. And so here he says, I spare you 60 blows. And so if these opening questions weren't prodding enough, he just kind of goes straight for the jugular here. So is he saying, I should hit you 60 times, but I won't? Is he saying, You are so clear and direct in your communication that I don't need to hit you. You're all good. Or is he saying, you're so bad? There's in the commentary, this is Robert Aitken's translation and commentary, by the way. He quotes somebody, I think it was Yasutani Roshi. Yamada Roshi. His interpretation, I wouldn't dirty my stick on the likes of you. Yeah, so this is a real opener, opening up this relationship. And so Tozan goes back to his room, and we skip this part of the story. It just goes straight to the next day. But for those of you who have done koan practice or who have worked with a teacher, whether in Zen or maybe even in school or some kind of relationship that you care about, and you leave it on some kind of like hanging edge, or maybe a conflict arose and it didn't get settled, and you're just up all night thinking about it, tossing and turning. Where did I go wrong? What am I going to do? How did I get this wrong? What am I missing? And so, at least this commentary talks about that night as just this torturous night of misery for Tozan. The great Uman just spared me 60 blows, or he, wanted to give me 60 blows, or what did he mean? Did I do right? Did I do wrong? Why does he want to hit me? Why wouldn't he hit me? Do I not deserve the hitting? I wanted to be hit. I should get hit. Maybe he didn't want. Maybe I'm better than everybody, and that's why I did. So all these things going through his head, which, um, for lack of better words, which is a good thing. A lot of this practice, a lot of the student teacher relationship is about actually fomenting these moments. Not that we want you to lose sleep, not that we want you to be miserable, but these places where we're just like, I'm just so vulnerable and so just on edge, and so, this is the most fertile ground. This is where the magic happens. And so all this talk about calming the mind and being present, the whole reason for doing that is to bring up and shine light on these more stuck, vulnerable, edgy places. So we want these moments to arise because a good teacher, a good sangha, a good practice, a good container will take advantage of these very fertile, sensitive moments. So yeah, so he's going through it the next day. He's really in this prime spot of questioning, right? That's what it is. It's questioning. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? What did he mean? What should I do? This is where it's so potent. And this is hopefully what sesshin can elicit for us. So he goes back the next day to meet with Uman. And so yeah, Tozan comes again and he says, yesterday you said you'd spare me 60 blows. I don't know where I was at fault. And you can just really feel the sincerity there, right? He's not blaming him. He's not saying, I lost a whole night of sleep because of you, and you abused me, and, you shouldn't talk to people like that, and why are you hitting people anyway? There's that trust That's the other part, if we're going to be fomenting these moments of sensitivity and vulnerability, that really should only happen once there's trust established. And Uman is this, famous guy in China, and Tozan actually, is a longtime monk at this point. And I think he had even been staying there for a while, according to the story. So there is that kind of trust there. Obviously, if you meet someone and the first thing they do is put you through a night of misery, this is not good. That's probably not a good teacher. Um, but yeah, once there's trust established and some kind of a relationship, then we can really be vulnerable with each other and say things like, I should beat the shit out of you right now, in a skillful way. In a skillful way. He knew exactly where Tozan, or he didn't know. He's trying. We're all just trying. Who knows? Um, and so, yeah, Tozan comes and he's just got that earnest, like, I don't get it. I don't see it. Why did you spare me 60 blows? And I think that Uman sees this. And God, for those of us, like, the worst kind of Zen teacher is a codependent one. And I suffer from that a lot because people will come in and say, I don't get it. And it was so hard. And I don't know why I don't see it. And I'll usually just be like, you're doing great. It's perfect how you're doing. And, I'll do whatever I can to like make them feel good, good and excited. Um, Make sure they know they're doing well. And that's good, right? I mean, we like to hold each other up and support each other. But for those who really want to do this work, I mean, Uman does quite the opposite. Uman says, you rice bag, do you go about in such a way, now west of the river, now south of the lake? So to see that opening, even though this guy in front of him, he could be crying, he's like exhausted from being miserable all night. And his response was, you dumbass. So this is, tough love. We know it as. And also very skillful. And on the other hand, I haven't read this necessarily, but rice bag, that which contains nourishment for all, like what a beautiful thing to be. What a selfless, that could be a huge compliment. You bodhisattva holding this food for everyone. Every Sunday we do the Gate of Sweet Nectar, where literally we offer rice to the hungry spirits. So you rice bag, maybe that's a nice thing. But to not go soft there, right? Here I am, like, I don't get it. I was at this whole night. And to be met with, oh, you rice bag. Very skillful. If, he knows what he's doing, which as we see, he does. So he calls him a rice bag and he says, do you go about in such a way, now west of the river, now south of the lake? Right? So now he's bringing in the beginning of the story and addressing where Tozan is stuck. Separateness, judgment, good, bad, right, wrong, approval, not approval, here in the winter, there in the summer, left on this date, came on that date. All these different ways that we separate and conceptualize and categorize and identify and create narratives. I was here and then I was there and I left, and I got it right and I got it wrong and I got approved of and they do like me and they don't like me. And so he brings it all together. This is Uman's brilliance. You rice bag, you silly little bodhisattva. You spend all your time worrying about here and there, when really it's all just this one thing. And, as we see in the story, it ends with Tozan had his great Satori. Just imagine that, being free of, he likes me, he doesn't like me, he spared me blows because I'm good, he spared me blows because I'm bad, whatever. Here's some rice. To function that freely, be a pretty good way to go. Pretty good way to go. Whether you're in Hunan in the summer or Chatu in the winter, just fully be this and do the appropriate thing. Be the best rice bag you can be. Thank you.